Hello there, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to Tech in Health Live Show. I'm so excited to have everyone here join me today. All right. I'm very, very excited. I'm excited about the impact this video is going to make, and I'm excited about the conversations we are going to be making today. And, it promises to be a very, very insightful and impactful moment. All right. So let's just get right into it, right? Tech in Health is a platform created to explore how technology is shaping healthcare, from data, software to biology, innovations, and reward impact, right? Our goal is simple. Our goal is simple. Our goal is simple. Our goal is simple. Our goal is to make sure that everyone is sorry a moment. Our goal is to make sure that everyone is getting what tech is all about in health, and we are here to break down complex ideas, spotlight on people's meaningful works, how tech is shaping healthcare, like I said, and how as healthcare professionals we can leverage on tech in our business and in our professions. AI is everywhere. In the next 5-10 years, AI is going nowhere. AI is here to stay. And if AI is just to stay, if tech is here to stay, we need to know how we can leverage on tech to make our work impactful, right? Yet with me today is one of the seasoned speakers, the stellar speaker. He is the founder of STEM Tribe Africa organization, and is a bioinformatician with experience with applying computational biology to healthcare related problem. His work sits between the intersection of healthcare and technology, and he's studying in one of the Russell University in the UK. So let's welcome with me today Mr. Sam Anifowoshe, right? Welcome, sir.
Yeah,
How you doing, sir? Can you hear me,
I'm
sir?
very I'm fine. How are you? Thank you for having me today. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me, sir? I can't.
Yes, I can hear you, but can you hear me
All
as well?
right. Yes, I can hear
Okay,
you now. It's so nice to
that
have you
makes
here with us
sense.
today.
Yeah, it's a privilege for me. Thank you so much.
All right, sir. And
Yeah.
this conversation is going to be an interactive section, right? So we are
Okay.
not here to talk about what is tech, what is this, what is that. It's just going to be an interactive section whereby I ask some few questions because we are having a mixed audience right here:
Right.
students, professionals, people who are just simply curious about what tech is all about in health. And
Mm.
I think one of the most frequent questions I've been getting is tech is tech in health and industry. So I think my answer so far to anyone who asks that question is yes. Tech is an industry, healthcare is an industry. So when you bring both together, it's still an industry, right? So
Yeah.
I'm just going to get right into it. I'll start with a question for the student. As a student, right? As a student, how should we understand computational biology in simple and practical terms? I've had questions when people say, "What is bioinformatics? What is computational biology? Is both are both the same? Are they the same thing, or are they two different fields?" So I would like you to share more light on that tonight for us.
All
You
right.
have the floor,
So,
sir.
thank you for having me once again. It's a great privilege to be here, to be able to talk to people, answer questions and all of that. So, computational biology, just like the name implies, computational and biology. So, it's just like bringing two different things together. You bring together the computer and also the biology, trying to do a lot of things with the computer on biology. So before now, biology is kind of theoretical. Yeah, let me put it that way. It's
Mm,
kind of theoretical. The what we used to do back then was just like you doing practicals. You do stuffs on toad. You do stuffs on just naming organisms. I could remember back then when we were doing a WIEC preparation, we're asked to identify specimens. They give you different kinds of specimens, fruit specimens, insect, and all of that. So that is all that biology encompasses. It's so broad, and the fact that it's so broad now makes it more beautiful when you add computer into it, when you integrate computer into it. So in a little sense, or in a very short meaning, computational biology is just like you making or using computer to make a lot of sense out of biology. I don't know if that makes sense. So using computer to bring about a meaningful biological insights about what it is. For example, you might decide to study what a DNA is, deoxyribonucleic acid. You might want to know what it is. But now you might have a picture of what DNA looks like. You might have a picture of the functions of DNA, but computer now makes it very clearer for us to understand the depth about what DNA really is. So, in a very short, sentence, I would just say, or simply, I would just say that we are using computer to meet with biology. Right. So that's what computational biology is. And you are trying to define some aspects of biology that, because in the real world of biology, when you start doing some experiment with biology, you generate data, and when you
Yes,
generate
yes,
data,
yes.
you are trying to bring out a meaning out of the data that you've generated, right? So in a very wide perspective, biology could be in a, you could be talking about genetics, you could be talking about evolution, you could be talking about different kinds of interactions between hosts and pathogens, between hosts and parasites, and all of that. So biology is so wide, and for us to have an explicit, meaningful idea of what it is, we have to use computer. So that is why it is actually termed computational biology. So that's I hope that makes sense, right?
Yes, 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 it does. And that
Yeah,
reminds me as an undergraduate back on OAU campus, where we had to do a lot of Zoo 101 and the likes.
exactly,
It just looks so
exactly.
abstract. Like, what does this it does, it never made sense to me then, actually. It never did. Especially when I had to take genetic classes and my supervisor would just be saying you attach A to
Right,
T, C to
right.
G. I'm like, why
Yeah,
must I join alphabets together? Give me something I can see.
yeah,
But with
yeah.
computation biology, actually, it all makes more sense. You know,
Mm-hmm,
you are not just working abstractly. You know what you are looking
mm-hmm.
for. In fact,
Yeah,
computer makes it
definitely.
brings it home more to us,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And in light of that, students will say, okay, if I now we know what computational biology is, even for professionals who are into wet lab and they are
Mm-hmm,
looking at going downstream with their data, going into dry labs. Their question would be, how can we bring computational biology into healthcare? Because one of
mm,
the things I've encountered over the time is people tend to say, if you don't study medicine, if I'm not a doctor, if there's no doctor attached to my name, there's no that midwife certificate to what I have to my degree in school. I'm not in the healthcare
right,
system. And healthcare
right.
system is way broader than that. So
Mm,
now the question is, how do I leverage computational biology in the healthcare system? So healthcare system will mean life sciences,
yeah.
as a botanist, as a biochemistry, as a zoology student, even agricultural science,
Mm-hmm,
because all these things has to do with healthcare, drugs, the likes.
yeah.
So how do we leverage computational biology in healthcare system?
Yeah, that's amazing. That's an awesome question. So I will start with this. Last week, I was at a conference. Should I say conference? They call it Festival of Genomics. So imagine what a festival is. So festival is okay. Festival of Genomics and Biodata in London was more of you having all professionals. I mean, all professionals in all areas that you could imagine coming together to discuss about computational biology, to discuss about bioinformatics, to discuss about
Wow.
the advancement in all the areas, in all the fields. Now, for example, I was fortunate to be at the boot camp for NHS. NHS is the organization in charge of health in the UK, right? So more of clinical, kind of thing like that. But yet we have them at the Festival of Genomics, right? So this is what I'm going to say, or let me start with this. Computational biology is now everywhere. I mean,
Wow.
talk of I'm trying to start to bring it from the basis now. Talk of, okay, for example, I studied zoology from my background. I'm a zoologist by training. I i then moved on to molecular parasitology by training, and all of a sudden I knew that there is more about me. I was so very good with mathematics while I was growing up. I mean, very good. I usually have A's in mathematics, but at a
Wow.
point I felt that there is more. In fact, when I gained the admission to OAU, I wanted to receipt for JAMB to apply for an engineering course because I thought that I would get medicine in the first place, but unfortunately I couldn't. But now, this is how I'm telling my story. And what am I telling people now is that even though I'm not a medical doctor, but I'm now using computational biology to give solutions to medical field, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Mm,
So bioinformatics, now there is a very slight difference. I might still go on to that between bioinformatics and computational biology, but for the essence of this meeting, I would just kind of use them interchangeably, right? So
okay. All
for
right.
emphasis sake, yeah, there is a very slight difference between the two of them, but just for the sake of this talk, I'll just try as much as possible to interchange them. So what am I trying to say is that bioinformatics is now everywhere. Talk of hospitals. Now, for the conference that I said I went for, we have medical doctors that came for the conference. We
Wow.
have agriculturists that came for the conference. We have computer science students that came for the conference. We have, like, I mean, talk of anything. We even have people in entrepreneur that came for the Festival
Wow.
of
Wow. Wow.
Genomics. Now, how do I
Okay.
mean? These are guys, they don't have business with doing stuff with tech. They are not concerned with that. But they are more engaged with the products, they are more engaged with the tools that are being used in genomics. So
Okay.
they make use of that. They market those stuff for people that are in the field. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir. Yes, sir.
it is now virtually everywhere. I mean, everywhere. You can't be in a clinical settings without talking about bioinformatics.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
If a
Yes.
friend of mine, Funa, presently is a lecturer in statistics, and he sent me a flyer about what is going on now in the school. There was a memo that was passed some few weeks ago that they should train all the staffs, I mean academic staffs now, in bioinformatics. So you
Wow.
can imagine that. I mean, they should train all the staffs, not just the
Not
people in
just
the,
students or some
you
selected
understand?
people.
Not all
Yes.
this. I mean, all the academic staffs must be trained in bioinformatics because now, if you are actually doing anything about data, the best form of analysis you can do to give a very distinct, meaningful biological insight is computational biology. That is
Yes.
the
Yes. Yes.
best kind of analysis you can do now. We find we can still incorporate statistics into it, but however, for us to have a deep meaning, now, for example, bioinformatics can be used in diagnostics. You can use it to
Yes.
develop
Yes.
drugs. You can you are not in the lab, you are not doing anything with the lab, you are just working with the data. But with that data, you can use it to develop drugs, you can use it to develop different kinds of uh, biomarkers that the pharmacists can use to bring about different ideas in developing drugs, in drug discovery. You can use bioinformatics to design different kinds of things, outbreak, disease outbreak, surveillance, do different kinds of things, risk predictions when it comes to public health now. When it comes to research, of course, you can use it to do. Now, there was a course that I did on microbiome, and the lecturer was telling us that they are trying to use bioinformatics to develop the right make product for preterm babies. I don't know.
Oh,
does
okay.
that make sense?
Yes,
So
yes, yes, yes,
because
yes.
preterm babies actually in the UK and across Europe, they account for a very large uh, prevalence when it comes to mortality. So now they are trying to develop different kinds of milk products for those kinds of babies, right? So and they are making use of bioinformatics. That is in research, in diagnostics. I mean, in hospitals, they are making use of bioinformatics to develop different kinds of things. Now, for example, we are in the era of precision medicine.
Medicine, yes.
Precision medicine is not getting or developing a medicine for the masses. No. Precision medicine is getting a particular medicine for a particular kind of population
Population tailored
to be
approach.
tailored towards exactly tailored towards a particular. So for example, we are coming to a point where the drugs that is being used for preterm babies in Europe might not be the same drug that will be used for preterm babies in Africa. So,
Yes, yes,
and
yes,
that is
yes.
the essence for bioinformatics. That is the essence why a lot of people are now going to bioinformatics, because you will agree with me that we are in the era of different kinds of disease outbreaks. We are in the era of different kinds of
Exactly.
things that we are not even we've never heard of. There is presently an outbreak now in India that has like killed. I'm not sure of the number because it's rising every day, and this
Mm.
is a virus that, if care is not taken, could wipe out a
How the whole
and I
nation.
mean, you understand what I'm saying. So
Yes.
and this is why computational biology is actually very useful. Now I will give a very little insight before we go to the next question. Before now, when they want to sequence or when they want to decode an entire genome of an organism, right? In fact, let me use human genome. The first time they did that was 2003. But before that time, they have been trying to do it for the past 10 years. I mean,
Wow.
they did it they started 10 years before 2023. It was 2003, right? It was 2003 that they were able to get it done for 10 years straight. But now, computational biology, when you have a data of a genome, you can easily do all of that within days. I mean, you can you can use bioinformatics to sort all of that within days, because there are now very high-tech technologies that you can even use to decode that even in a day. You understand what I'm saying? So this
Yes,
is
sir.
what is happening, and that was one of the things that they did during COVID-19. They were able to make use of
Yes.
bioinformatics tools. They were able to do all of that in the lab to easily decode the genome of that variant. And when they were able to decode that, they were able to generate a very good drug. I mean, biomarker towards the drug that they could use, or vaccines that they could use to protect the lives of people. So this is why bioinformatics is actually very important, and it's making a lot of important decisions across all the fields. Yeah,
Mm. Yes, yes. In addition to what you just said, it just brought back one of the classes I had with a lecturer in school. He was talking about how we're talking on PCR machine. So in the
mm,
class, he mentioned that PCR is specific.
yeah,
That if you don't know what you're looking for, you can't go
absolutely.
ahead to use a PCR machine, right?
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
we one of the students just asked a question. Okay, if PCR is specific, how were we able to know that this particular virus is COVID
Right.
19? Because when there was the outbreak, nobody knew what it was. It was
Mm,
just like there's a virus killing people and
right.
all these things. So he just had to look at, they had to do a metadata analysis to be able to determine what is it. So from there, they were able to know it was a pathogen, it was a virus, blah blah blah,
Exactly.
like that.
Exactly.
And that's the beauty of bioinformatics, even
Mm-hmm.
before wet lab. In fact, one of the things that I remember now is that even people now, before people go into wet lab, they would rather go and do in silico analysis. Like,
Very
let me know
true.
what the bioinformatics is about, what the
Yeah.
downstream analysis is like first, before
Yeah.
I put my money into looking for what is not lost.
Yeah.
And another thing is, bioinformatics also play a critical role in identification of bacteria. For example, now we don't know if this is staphylococcus, or this is this, or this is that.
Yeah.
Even after culturing, we are only able to tell it apart, that okay, this is gram negative, this is
Mm-hmm.
gram positive. But
Yeah.
people have to take it a step further, do the extractions, sequence from
Yeah.
sequencing, the blast and the likes, and they're able to tell that okay, oh, this this is a bacteria, it belongs to
Yes.
social family, it belongs to social family, which
Yeah.
is actually a very good tool, like you mentioned. So for the professionals who are joining us, can you just help us help indicate, maybe give an example? So when I mean an example, let me give an example, like the GMOs that we now
Hmm.
see in agriculture, where I
Hmm.
think there is one in Nigeria, the engineered maize,
Hmm.
where that is drought resistant, that
Yeah.
IITA produced. So can you give other relevant examples like that, in case, like you said earlier, for the Festival of Genomic you went, they are entrepreneurs, they are not interested in how this thing works, they just want to know what is available that they can put their money into, and
Yeah.
we need interest for them. So can
Yeah.
you mention some of these examples or industries that bioinformatics is has already been leveraged on and is making
Yeah.
waves for people? It could be in Nigeria, it could be in Africa, or even in the Europe.
Yeah. So that's a very good question. At the moment, we many of these examples are more dominant in the advanced country, and I'll tell you the reason why. This is one of the reasons why I think that it is more dominant here, and that is because they've long gone in by. I mean, they've done a whole lot of things decades ago when it comes to
Mm.
bioinformatics, when it comes to computation. But in fact, let me even say when it comes to artificial intelligence, they've done a
Wow,
whole lot of stuff. It is not now that artificial intelligence is
it's
common.
coming out, right?
No, no, no. I saw a movie a long time ago, Spider-Man, and that was 2002. Yes, I think that was Spider-Man 1 or 2. I can't remember. I'm a very good fanatic of movies. And in this movie, imagine 2002, they were using AI to develop a machine where
Yes, even
a
Iron
man
Man.
can you understand what I'm saying? So imagine
Yes, yes, yes.
2002 for them to have been able to do that kind of movie. So for them to have been able to do that kind of movie, it means that artificial intelligence was way, they have been making use of it before they even use it in the movie. And we are now in 2025. So
2026.
exactly. So now it is now that we are now opening our eyes to things like that. Right. So
Mm.
examples many of my examples would definitely be from here, from this part of the country. But I'm happy because there are some organizations now in Africa that are actually doing well, and they are actually bridging that gap, right?
Mm-hmm,
But
mm.
not they have not actually become so well pronounced. But I am like I know few, but not so many. And one of them is IITA. IITA are doing a lot of that. I think you mentioned an example already from there, and they are doing a lot of things. Now, another organization that I'm going to, in fact, is it an institute is SGID at Ocean State. They are
Yes,
doing a
yes, yes, yes.
lot of stuff when it comes to genomics, transcriptomics. I mean, name it. So, and I'm so happy with what I've been seeing from them. Also, at Mountaintop University, they are doing some very, exciting stuff with it. But coming out of academics, coming out of research and all of that, we have um, other organizations now that they are involved. Now, I'm trying to see how to bring that of the DNA into, but the ones that I know of, they are actually here in this part of the world. And a vivid example was a drug that was developed for a baby. Uh, that baby had a very rare disease, and they used bioinformatics to develop a drug for that baby. And
Wow.
after a while, I think the baby has been monitored, and that baby actually survived death. I mean,
Wow.
the
Wow.
baby
Wow.
is now living. If maybe after this, I can get the link of that research, I will send it to you so you can put it on the link for this video afterwards.
All right.
These are things that are being done. Presently, there was something that, okay, I I I came up with a book of recently that is presently on Amazon. And one of the things that I discussed in that book was how to leverage on machines, to leverage on computational biology to be able to give it more of biological insights. I called it the cellular revolution, from basic biology to programmable medicine. These are stuffs that are happening now. So just like what you said earlier on, I will lay more emphasis on that. Now, do you know that they actually don't do surgeries directly on people anymore? there
Exactly. Exactly.
there are now there are now how do I put it now? There are now ways through which they call that model, I think, twin. I'm trying to remember now. Something about that. So what they do is that they use computational modeling, which is under by computational biology. That's why I'm saying that
Mm,
there is a bit slight difference between the two of them, but I will get in it very soon. So they
all
use
right.
computational modeling to develop the same immune system of the person they wanted to operate on, like they wanted to do the surgery on. They develop
Wow.
same biological system, immune system. I mean, all the forms of systems you can mention
Like they are
about that.
cloning the person.
Exactly, with a machine. So what they just do is they now automate the disease the person is having on that
Mm.
twin system. So they
Oh,
put it there. For example, maybe the person is having diabetes, or maybe the person is having COVID-19 whatsoever. They integrate it into that system. So they push it into the immune system of that twin that has been created.
created
And once they were
already.
able to do that, they run some programs. Okay, this person is doing this. These are the symptoms. These are, blah, 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 blah. These are what led to this a very long time ago. They have to start adding up the risk, the predictions, things that happened to him, and all of that. And they generated the exact thing that needed to be done. And eventually, they were able to see that this guy does not even need a surgery in the first place.
Wow.
This guy does not need a surgery. So they just implemented what they got from that scene for the patient. Another one that happened was on Parkinson disease. For a very long time, there has been a lot of controversies. I mean, on the drugs for
For Parkinson
Parkinson
disease.
diseases. Yeah, but do you know that they have now come up with different kinds of computational modeling to design a stem cell in a way that it could. Now, Parkinson disease is what leads to Parkinson disease is the absence of dopamine in the brain, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
there won't be balance of the whoever that is having it. So that's when you see them, they're not balanced and all of those things. So what they are now doing is they use computational biology, I mean, different aspects of computation in biology to take the stem cell, to take a cell of the skin from the human. They use it to
Mm.
run a kind of to secrete dopamine, and they integrate it in the brain of that man. Right.
Wow.
So that's produced, or let me say, that's began to secrete dopamine in the brain. They monitored it for a while. Don't forget that they took his skin to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, this person was recorded to be 80% cured of Parkinson's
Of
disease.
Parkinson. Wow.
So these are very these are very awesome things that are happening now. That is because we're able to add computer into what? Biology.
Into biology.
Do you understand what
Amazing.
I'm saying? Now,
Yes, yes,
the last
yes.
example that I'm going to give is, for a very long time there is this in fact, in this part of the world they usually encourage people to do organ donation in case there are
Okay.
people going through a lot of they need an organ donation for them in the hospital. uh Maybe they need a liver, they need a kidney, maybe their liver is rupturing, things like that. So they usually encourage a lot of people that maybe they're at the point of death, and they will ask
Mm,
them, would you like to donate your organ for someone that is already living, and all of that. And amazingly, people are actually doing all of that. Yeah, people are actually doing all of that. And something is now shaping that ideology, in the sense that
mm.
there is something called 3D tissue maker. Like, it's they just, there's a way they will just use the 3D to produce that same exact organ that you
Organ.
actually need. Yes,
Yes.
using 3D. I mean, it is real. This is not this is not that they will put a machine inside that thing. No,
No,
it
no,
will
no, no. It's
produce
real.
the same amount of organ composition that is needed in that organ to function.
Wow.
And they implant it in the patient, and the patient lives, I mean, very well. So a lot of things are now happening. And lastly, I saw a movie of recent, The Good Doctor. It's about a surgeon, a neurosurgeon, who is an autistic patient. So is more into, treating, doing all sorts of surgery. And if there was a time they brought a patient to the hospital. I mean, these are diseases that are actually real. So they brought the patient to the hospital, and when they brought the patient, they found out that half of the brain of the patient was not actually working. How did they get to
Wow.
know? They said the patient should draw a wall clock. I mean, just draw it, freestyle and draw it. When the patient drew it, they found out that half of it was just half of the wall clock that the patient drew. She drew
Wow.
the whole circle, but from 12 to 11 was on half side of the clock. So these are things that are happening, and before they could think of what kind of surgery they could do and all of that, they had to go into their artificial intelligence room, and they put on some wearable stuffs, and they were trying to do the surgery. The patient is not there. The patient is still on the bed in the ward, and they were just doing some stuffs like that. And before they know what was going on, they failed. They repeated it. They failed. They repeated it. They failed, and eventually they were able to see it. Oh, this is what's going on. And they just asked. They just had to pull up the patient into the theater room, and they did the operation, and it was successful. Imagine if they have not been able to do all of that before the surgery. Who knows? The
They
surgery
might
would have
even
gone.
misdiagnose the patient.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the beautiful things. Those are some of the, I mean, few of the examples that are now everywhere. Few of the examples that are now everywhere. So these are, initially I said computational biology is not just about analyzing, it's not just about saying we're analyzing this. No, it's about bringing computer, integrating computer into the existence of biology, and it
Biology.
is actually
Yes.
doing a lot of good for us now in that field. So it's a very good one, which I must which I must really commend.
Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
this is so, especially for the Parkinson part. I
I
mean,
mean, it
it's just
was
gonna
it
be
was
so
it was amazing.
excited.
It was amazing. I think
It,
the professor who did that got a Nobel laureate for that. Yeah.
it deserves it. It
I
deserves it.
mean, it was amazing. It was brilliant. It was
Because
brilliant.
Alzheimer, Parkinson, cancer, they are
Yeah,
in that group of diseases that
exactly.
scientists and researchers are still
Mm-hmm.
trying to find
Mm-hmm.
solutions to. They are
Yes,
working
yes,
day and night to just
yes.
bring a definite solution to it, which is
Exactly.
really, that
Exactly.
was a good one.
It was
And
it was
also
a perfect
buttressing
one.
on what you said earlier about that technology has been for a very long time. I mean,
Yeah,
AI just did not start in
yeah.
2025. The fact
Exactly.
that we got to know ChatGPT in 2022 or so does not mean just
Mm,
started then. I
mm,
saw a Korean movie where it was basically about science, was basically about how they use artificial intelligence to develop
right.
GMOs, meat, uh,
Yeah.
tomatoes,
Yeah.
and organs and the like. And at that point, it just struck me, if these people are doing this movie in the year 2024, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
about artificial intelligence
Yeah.
creating these things. I mean, it's way back. In fact,
Yeah.
down to our gadgets, iPhone, where people tell Alexa, what's
Yeah.
the time of the day? Alexa, this, tell me the color,
Yeah.
that. In fact, I think artificial intelligence, we can also trace it back down to our ATM, automated
Exactly.
machine we
Yeah.
use in
Yeah.
banks.
Yeah.
Because
It,
you are
yeah.
there communicating with the machine. The machine
Yeah.
knows you.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
point in things, and
Exactly. Exactly.
it's
For
really,
for
really, really.
for more clarification, that's I mean absolutely amazing. And one of the things that I would just add to that, I know what is going on about the misconception of GMO now. I mean in Africa, but should I tell you the truth of the matter is that we don't actually. It is just now that these things are having common names
Mm,
before. Okay, I there was a friend of mine who is so like she doesn't want to hear about GMO and all of that. So I sat her down one day. I said, "Do you know that before now in Africa, in fact in Nigeria to be specific, we usually do not have chickens like broilers, noilers, and all of that. We don't have them.
yes.
What we usually eat back then were normal natural chickens that have to come
Chickens,
together,
yes.
mate, and they do what? They rear eggs. That is the normal biology, right? That we
Mm,
know. But a point came where we started having birds called layers, laying eggs without mating. Like, how do you want to explain that to me? And everybody has been feeding, I mean, they have been eating the egg. So it's more or less like a genetical modified stuff. The egg that was laid from the layer, it's a GMO product.
yes.
Everybody were eating it. So it is because they did not call it GMO at the time. If you get to every average Nigerian man now, if you get to any household, you will see an egg from a layer. Am I
Mm-hmm.
correct? Yes,
Yes,
that is
yes.
GMO. That
People
is
will even
GMO.
prefer, they will tell you, I want to rear broiler.
Do
I
you
don't
do
want
you,
local
do you
chicken.
understand what I'm saying? So
Yes,
what are
yes,
you trying
yes.
to say? You are telling us that you are into GMO. If that is it, which is actually what it is. GMO is genetically modified stuff, meaning that there are some I mean there are some products that needed some genetic modification. Now let me bring that into research. In sickle cell, they use genetic modification to treat the first patient of sickle cell. The terminology is gene editing, CRISPR, and gene
CRISPR
editing is
Cas9.
like, let me bring it down so low so that everybody could understand what I'm saying. If I send you a message now on WhatsApp and I feel that I made a mistake, I've sent it, but I made the mistake. What do I need to do? I
You just need to
re-edit
click on edit and edit it
and
out.
edit it. So what did I just what did I just did? I edited a message that I gave to you. Now,
Mm-hmm.
sickle cell anemia is a kind of variant or mutation of the DNA of the patient. Right. Now,
Yes,
what
yes.
people are now doing is that they take that DNA, they edit it so that it becomes normal and they integrate it
Mm-hmm.
back to the patient and the patient becomes normal. So that's a genetically modified kind of, you know, thing that is happening now in research. So, uh, just to clear a lot of things, anyways, genetically modified product has been in existence for so many years.
So many years.
We just didn't give it that name, that common name called GMO. It is now that the name, started coming out and people feel, no, we don't want to do anything with that. But you have been you have been devouring Food.
Some people will even say that they are afraid that the GMO can tamper with their genes. It can affect their
Like,
sequence.
well, so the eggs you've been eating, the broiler you've been eating, the noila you've been eating, like, tell me what's going on. Do you know
Oh
that
my
banana
god.
banana usually have a very significant seed that you see with your eyes?
Mm,
It is as a result of these genetically modified seeds that brought about the banana that we are all seeing today.
exactly. The banana that everybody likes now.
Yeah, it usually have seeds before. If I wish I hope you are going to invite a botanist or a plant scientist to this program one day, so that people will also understand some of those things. You know, I've come to understand that ignorance have a way of uh, uh, blinding the minds of everyone, and
Exactly, exactly.
what you don't know, you don't know.
You don't know.
That's
There's
the
no other
what you
alternative to
don't
it.
know,
You don't know
you
it.
don't know it. There is nothing you can do about. The only thing you can do about it is learn to know it. But
Mm,
as long as you don't learn to know it, you don't know it.
mm-hmm.
But in Nigeria, everybody knows everything. I mean, even a pregnant, the baby that is still in the pregnancy knows all. I mean, everything.
Oh
So
my god.
everybody is now a professional. In something as they've passed a law now in China that even if you're on TikTok and you want to give an advice on a particular field or profession, if you are not certified, you are not allowed to say that. If
Allowed
you
to.
say it,
Wow.
you'll be fined in China
Wow.
now. If you are not in nursing and you are giving stuffs information about nursing, you are not certified, and they hear you saying things about nursing or medicine, my God, you'll be fined. So most likely, maybe Nigeria might be getting there one day as well, you know,
And we have
because
to. It's
exactly,
very
because
important.
this misinformation has led a lot of people to different kinds of disarray and all of those things,
Yes,
you
a lot
know.
of misconceptions.
Yeah, yeah. So that's just what I'm going to say.
You know, one of the misconceptions that always get to me every time is when people see you, they're like, "Oh my God, you look pale. Oh yeah, drink malt and milk." And some people will tell you add malt and milk together. And other people will take it a step further. They'll be like, "Add tomato paste. You know that Gino tomato. Add it to it and drink it." I'm like, "When you are not an herbalist, why are you mixing and mixing things together?" And because people don't read, people don't read, they're afraid of go reading. In fact, they're afraid of what they will find in the book. So because they're afraid of what they'll find in the book, they rather go with the misconceptions, the superstitions that have been passed down from generation to generations.
I
And
mean, very
let's
true.
just stick to that.
Yeah,
As
very
much as
true.
that suits me, let us stick to that. Wow, this is such
Very
a
true.
wonderful one. And so this time around for the students, we've talked about computational biology. We've talked about how it shapes people's mind and how it has changed healthcare. And in
Right.
passing, we've also talked about how it shapes people thinking and it clears misconceptions out. So for students, I wanted to talk about what should they prioritize first. I know for computational biology, either computational biology or bioinformatics, you can't escape it. You need to learn one programming language or the other.
Yes.
If you are not
Yes.
learning Python, you have to learn R. You just have to learn a programming language because
Mm-hmm.
these are one
Yeah.
of the tools we use in analyzing biological data. So
Yeah.
the question is for students who are or professionals, right, or researchers who are interested in going into downstream analysis, that is dry lab. Which one should they prioritize first? Should they prioritize learning, like let me learn, let me read about it, let me do my research about it, or they should just go head on, let me start coding, let me learn Python first, let me learn how, in fact let me gather everything together, how
Mm.
Python, MATLAB, good
Yeah.
way they want to learn it. So which one should they prioritize first to give them a sort of a balance and a self-paced learning system? So if they have to prioritize learning first, that means learning has to come before coding, or they just need to go straight into the coding before they start learning about what this field really entails.
Right. So this is what I'm gonna I will use my own case as an example. Then we add a few other examples to it. So when I was in zoology back then, we were asked to pick. I don't know. I think it was a compulsory elective, and it was CSE.
Yes,
I
yes, yes, yes.
personally I hate computer science. I mean, what am I doing with computer science when my favorite subject usually is mathematics and biology, even while I was in secondary school, you know. And anytime we go for, I was in jet club at the time, and anytime we go for competition, I'm always the one sitting down for biology session and mathematics session, you know. So when I got into university, I had problems with computer. I just don't know. I mean, and when they told us we would be doing computer science and coding Fortran, I was like, for like I mean, how I passed that course till date, I have no idea. I have no clue. I have no clue. But this is it. I began to understand that I'm a zoologist. I'm a parasitologist by training, and I feel there is more that I can do. I am very good in mathematics. I to some extent, I have some analytical skills, right? And when I started seeing that, I found out that there is more. I just knew that there was more. So there was a grant I won a time ago, and that grant, the work was actually more on a particular infection in Nigeria. And when I did that work, I observed that there was more to be done. I mean, after the molecular whatever and all of that, I
Okay.
knew. So the first thing that I'm trying to say now is build a curiosity. I mean, build a mindset of, I need to know there is more to this thing that I'm doing. There is more to the agricultural science I'm doing. There is more to animal production that I'm doing. There is more to
Yes,
animal
yes, yes.
husbandry that I'm doing. Build a spirit of curiosity. Learn, feel like, I mean, feel as if what your lecturers are teaching you, there is more. What your professors are teaching you, there is more. The projects you guys are doing, just know that there is more. So that was how I started. I mean, I knew that after molecular, so there is still stuff to be done. I mean,
Yes.
in Nigeria back then, after we've done the molecular, we've done PCR and all of that, we
We've
usually
done gel
stop.
electrophoresis.
Yeah,
That's all. We are done. Research is over.
you know. And when I got to this part of the world, I began to see undergraduates doing cloning
Wow.
for biology, for biology lab practicals.
For their
On
practical
Yes,
101.
yes, undergrad doing cloning. I mean, oh god, When it was. I mean, it was so. I don't want to use the word terrible, but what I'm just trying to say is that because I had this imposter syndrome that am I actually in the right place? Because these are things that these guys are used to. I'm not used to them, and that is because we have the breaking in physics. There is elasticity, so we have the breaking point in Africa where once we get to get electrophoresis, that's all we can do about. I mean,
That's all. Oh.
and I began to see that there is actually more, and that's the first thing. Whoever that is starting out on computational biology, you want to understand how to bring computer into biology. It might not even be bioinformatics, it might not even be the analysis, it might be something that I've been talking about, how to be part of the solutions of people that are healing Parkinson's diseases, Alzheimer's, and all of that. Just know that there is more. Yeah, a lot of researchers have been saying there is no cure for this, there is no cure for that. But you are a researcher. That's why you are a researcher. You just build up the curiosity, and that's the first thing. Build up the curiosity. Know that there is more stuffs out there for you to explore. That's number one. Number two, if you really want to go into bioinformatics, I mean computational biology, computational modeling, and all of those stuff. The truth of the matter is there are some uh, softwares that do not require coding before you can use them. Say for visualizations, for analysis, and all of that. There are some management system, based management system that you can use. But to be frank, I tell people there is no how you can escape from there is no how you can escape from coding if you really
Mm,
go far. If you really want to go far in this field, you cannot escape coding. And
yes.
when I knew that there was more for me, and I knew that I need to start, I started with coding. That was for me. Now, the reason why I started with coding was because I already have the foundational background in biology. I mean, I've done zoology in my secondary school. I was very active in biology. I did zoology, my first undergraduate. For my first master's, I did molecular medical parasitology. So I already have an in-depth, background in biology. So what I just did was I just started learning coding. So what I would just tell any student out there, you did animal husbandry, you did fisheries, all of that. You already have the background. The next thing for you is start learning coding. Start from the basics. Don't rush. Don't say
Yes.
someone posted I have just got a certification on blah 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 on LinkedIn and you too want
I'm
no.
excited too.
Don't do that. Don't do that. It is your personal journey. It is you
Yes,
that you
yes, yes.
understand what you are doing. It is you that you understand where you are going. So just follow the journey yourself. Don't
Mm,
overstretch yourself. No. Do every I know at the first instant there will be a lot of messy stuff you will do. I mean, you will do some programming languages that you'll be like, what is this nonsense that I'm writing?
oh,
You will have
Jesus.
some results, you have some output that you'll be like, how am I going to interpret all of this? Don't worry. Just start like that. And gradually, before you know what is going on, you start seeing yourself understanding why you need to do a particular coding for a particular infection, for a particular disease, and all of that. So that's number two. Number one, build up curiosity. Number two, if you don't have the background knowledge about biology, then you must.
Mm,
Once you are able to do that, start learning coding. On your way, you might be using other softwares that don't require coding. Those ones
mhm.
will just serve as a background, I mean, for you. But coding is important, is essential. I mean, you can't do without it if you really want to go far in this field. So that's
Yes.
that makes it number
That's
two.
number two.
Number two. And number three, start in a very messy way. Don't say that I want to start analyzing and I want to start using the major thing that people usually start with is like, I want to start doing WGS, whole genome sequencing
Whole
analysis.
genome
I want to
sequencing.
start
Oh my
doing
God.
transcriptomic analysis. I want to
That
start
would be a
doing single
mistake.
cell. You will crash, and eventually you say, no, this thing is not for me. I mean, why it's
Mm,
actually meant for you. So just start gradually. Start with the basics of Python. Python is very easy to understand, very easy to learn. And if it
yes.
is how that you want to start, all well and good. The two are very good, if you really want to. But start with the basics. I mean, learn how to use coding to do calculator. I mean, things like
Mm,
that.
mm,
Gradually get to a place where you can easily do a small dashboard. I can do this calculation, I'll get this thing, I will do this, I'll visualize this, and like that, gradually, before you know what is going on, you become a pro. Then you can now shift those skills into bioinformatics, right?
yes,
So,
yes.
and as I've said, it's going to be messy. Don't worry. Don't disturb yourself about it. Let it be messy. Continue that way. And before you know what is going on, you will have opportunities to apply for internships. I mean, volunteer somewhere to just build up on your skills, and sky will just be your limit. Should I say sky or heaven? So yeah, so that's just it. How to
All
start
right.
out on it.
To add to what he said, when I started my journey, I remember there was a night I was, I can't remember exactly what I was trying to do with Python, but I was just on it. I was just, this thing is not showing. Why are you not showing? After toiling all night for like 5 hours, I guess, and I realized that it was the icon, for how you need to use a uh, less than or greater than
Yeah,
icon
yeah,
with a dash
yeah,
in it. And I
yeah.
realized that it was the icon that
That
I
was
just
missing.
needed to change. And if I've done that, I wouldn't have stayed all
Mm.
night on my system trying to
Right.
just get something done. So
Right.
it's the beginning is really going to be messy, like you said,
Yeah,
but
no. I mean,
consistency and the fact that you know what you want, you
right.
have a goal ahead of you is what will keep you
Mm-hmm.
pushing. So quickly, sir, can you just share maybe some of the resources that is available for people to use online? Because one of the challenges students might have is some people might say, I don't have a system, I don't
Mm.
have this, I don't have that. But I
Mm.
know there are resources online you can
Yeah,
leverage on, even without a
absolutely.
system, that you can still make use of to
Absolutely.
start your learning journey.
Yes, very true. For those without system, I'll just say that start using your phones. I know everyone now they have data, no doubt about it. You have data, start using your phone. For emphasis sake, there is a web link for Python, even for R, that you can actually use online with your phone that you can use to rehearse, practice Python, and that's Colab, Google Colab.
Mm,
Yeah, you can use Google Colab on your phone. There is another site, W3 Schools, where you can learn Python on your phone. While you are sitting down, you can just make it like if you are playing games and all of that, and gradually you are learning. So, for those, I mean, and also YouTube, you can use your phone to watch YouTube actually and
yes.
get a lot of stuff from it. Then Coursera, you can also use Coursera. I mean, there's a way you can audit the courses and you'll be allowed to take the courses on Coursera. And but the only thing is you will not be given the chance to have a certificate. But of course, you will have that knowledge. So, and for those people that have a laptop, I mean, you have all that it takes. You have data, you have laptop, nothing is is delaying you. Is you should not be like there's no hesitation anymore. So what you just need to do is just start with coding, just like I said. Look for Google Colab. Jupyter Notebook is free online via Anaconda. Um, then, of course, YouTube. I mean, many things that I've learned today. I mean, virtually some very vital stuff that I've learned today in bioinformatics or computation. I learned them self learning via YouTube. I mean, via different kinds of future learn, different kinds of platforms, and all of that. So those are areas that you can set out
Mm,
in. I will advise that maybe after this program, you can just drop links of some of these things for them
all right.
on the YouTube, so that as many people that wants to actually set out to start, they can just have an access to some of these links and start with them. So those are some of the things that I feel that just start with learning Python. Start, or if there's R that you want, fine. Just start with the basics. Use YouTube. That I mean, countless. You can't count them on YouTube.
Exactly.
You can't count them. I'm also starting one very soon. So you can't, I mean, a lot. So start with the basics, use YouTube, make it your partner. If it is 6 months, don't disturb yourself on social media. If it is 6 months, you need to learn it, learn it. At the end of
Mm,
the day, you'll be the ones to enjoy all these things. After all, just
exactly.
learn it. Learn it. There is no better time to start than this time. Do you know
Exactly.
why?
Exactly.
The reason is because now Africa is coming into the era. They've now seen that what they are doing in this Western world is their their solution is more because they have a lot of data. I don't know if that makes
Mm,
sense. So
exactly.
they have data and they have access to the data. So this is
Yes.
why they are having a lot of solutions in all those, I mean, all those fields. So African has now woken up to that aspect of we generating data. And once we have the data, who are the people that we call to start analyzing the data? You, myself,
Exactly.
everyone. So this is why this time is the best time to learn it. I mean, this is the best time. There is no better time than now,
Than
because
now. Yes.
Nigeria, we all know Nigeria is the most populated in Africa. And one of the things that we are lacking at the moment is data. And once Nigeria is able to get it right when it comes to data, my
Data.
God, there will be countless numbers of jobs in Nigeria.
Wow.
Countless number. I mean, all parastatals, we want everybody that can analyze data.
Exactly.
All.
Exactly.
So this is the time to start learning those things, so that by the time those things starts coming out, you will not be left out. So that's my that's my advice.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir. This
Yeah,
is
you're
such
welcome.
an insightful time for me. I mean, I've learned a lot, right from the that Parkinson and
Mm,
disease solution really stood out for me,
yeah,
to your journey, how you started, and I'm
yeah,
sure that all of our viewers, people who are watching us today, have also learned one or two things. And thank you so much, sir, for coming. Thank you,
yeah,
everyone, for joining us on today's show. And thank you for participating. And I look forward to seeing you next month, first Thursday of next month, for the next series of Tech in It show. Bye. Thank you so much.
yeah.
Thank you,
Bye,
sir.
everyone. Bye.